Okay? Now, who knows, man? He's up all night. Who knows what's going on? But today, New Year's Day, he starts calling for the arrest and execution of Vice President Mike Pence. He's calling for the arrest and execution of Mitch McConnell for treason. This is a guy that's been retweeted by President Trump. This is the guy that's been recently quoting Linwood, and when Linwood was calling for the resignation of Kemp, now he's calling for executions, firing squads. Line them up, folks. They're going to blast them all down. And he quotes the Bible and stuff, and he's very prolific, flowery in his writing and his posting. It's very worth following. Now, in the past few days, okay, he posts that there was two of them. I'm going to forget. But one, he says that Epstein is still alive. Okay, you can ask him. Ask Epstein. He's still alive. And today he starts posting about Isaac Cappy holding all the secrets. Isaac Cappy, that nut, that fraud, was holding all the secrets before he was killed. This is, Revolution Radio type stuff. This is, crackpot stuff, man. Isaac Cappy was holding all the secrets, and I have the key to those secrets. Okay, so this guy is just totally... no, here's the other one. He was the origin. Linwood, this guy who's calling for executions, this guy's who's calling for the arrest of the Vice President of the United States of America, this guy who's now is endorsing Isaac Cappy. This guy, okay, said that Justice Roberts was an associate of Epstein. I think there was a guy with a similar name on one of the flight logs, or one of the fake flight logs, because there's a list of fake flight logs out there now with Epstein. And the thing is, too, with Epstein, forget the flights, forget the logs, forget it all. It doesn't matter. All of that stuff happened in Manhattan, the stuff happened in Palm Beach, the stuff happened in New Mexico. Not everything happened on the island that you had to go to the island in order to partake in it, or you had to be on an airplane to do this stuff. But he's anyway. So anyway, he's the one, the origin of claiming that Justice Roberts was associated with Epstein. I believe he said he was on the plane. But you can look that up, and there is no other corroborating source that can verify that accusation. And now look at the source of it. The guy's just totally out of his mind. And that's not me saying it. This is his law partner saying it. Okay? And I don't know, man. If you think this would be headline news, where an attorney who's representing the interests of the President of the United States of America is calling for executions, calling for arrests, endorsing the internet crackpots, one of that was sent to me. By the way, Isaac Cappy, when he first arrived on the scene, I checked him out, okay? And there was an incident where, this is before he ever went public, where he was being followed, and people were following him and trying to poison him and this and that, and he grabbed some cops. And the guy had himself voluntarily committed to a psychiatric institution. So this is where Isaac Cappy himself felt of his own personal abilities and competency. I saw nothing new that came out of Cappy that was verified or legitimate information, okay? He repeated a lot of old stuff, and then he would do these bizarre things where he would do a YouTube video and sing, brackets, jackets, jackets, brackets. So-and-so is a pedophile. What the hell is that, man? It's nonsense. It's garbage, man. Okay, and it's an insult to anybody who's out here doing real work and involved in real stuff. Okay, now, one of the reasons why I tell you about all this, because a friend of mine posted this thing about Geralso Rivera. Right? About Geraldo Rivera, he says, I'm fed up with Trump and I no longer endorse him, right? His old buddy from Studio 54 days, okay, Geraldo Rivera and Donald Trump, right? And she was unaware that Geraldo Rivera had just recently tweeted in defense of Ghislaine Maxwel, saying that Maxwell would be out on bail if the SDNY was not afraid of the New York Post. So now he's endorsing Maxwell. In the past, he had things to say about Matt Lauer and who's the other one? Weinstein. Well, these are old allegations of things. It should be a higher level. Okay. Now, Geraldo's had an interesting life, okay? And I've had my eye on him since my days in the Bronx when he was an attorney and advocate for the Young Lords, which was a group that was like the Puerto Rican Black Panther Party for self-defense in the Bronx, okay? And since I was a Cuban kid in the Bronx, all my friends were Puerto Rican, we looked up to this group. Now, somehow, Geraldo Rivera found himself as an anti-poverty lawyer in the Bronx, which basically means he's filling out food stamp applications and he's helping people with trying to get Medicare and that kind of stuff. That's what an anti-poverty lawyer does, okay? Helping with people with evictions, being evicted, he helps you out. And they get grants to run their little operation, right? Somehow he got from there to owning his own island, owning his own newspaper, living in mansions. Right now he lives in Shaker Heights, close to Leslie Wexner runs Ohio, okay? And he's down there, moved 217, he moved to Ohio now, and suddenly defending Maxwel, okay? Hanging out with President Mr. Trump, hanging out with Adnan Khashoggi, Studio 54. How did this guy get from there to there, to here where he is today? Okay? And I think I have some answers for you. And I think I'm going to tell you some stuff about Geraldo Rivera you may not be aware of, because he wrote a book about it. In the 90s, he wrote a book about himself called Exposing Myself. Okay? Now, we know that when he was working for the Young Lords, right, he was interviewed on local WABC TV, and they made such a big impression on them that they offered him like a scholarship, okay? They offered him a gig on local ABC TV news, but he had no journalistic credentials. So they said, well, we're going to take care of that, okay? And we're going to go through the Ford Foundation, and we're going to send you to a Columbia University graduate school of journalism, okay, in 1970, under Fred Friendly. Remember Fred Friendly, the head of CBS, who was friends with the William R. Murrow, who came out of Air of America? No, America, what is that called? Yeah, Air of America. Yeah, Air of America was called. The CIA-backed news organization. Okay? And all of his intelligence connections. All right? Yeah, and then he goes around, Geraldo, he gets involved with ABC News locally, so I knew right away. I used to watch ABC News when I was a kid in the 70s. Right? And, let me see my timeline here. Okay, now, things all changed for Geraldo. See, he was on 2020. Right? 2020 was a new... I've been on 2020. I was a guest on 2020, but he was a host on 2020. An investigative journalist. So, no, I almost forgot. The reason why... Let me pull it back here, because there's a little kind of process church connection here. Where is that stuff? Okay, I skipped a bunch of stuff in my notes. Okay, because one thing is, when he was with the Young Lords, right? The Young Lords had a bunch of rising stars within their midst, in their leadership. One guy was Pablo Guzman, and another guy was Felipe Luciano. And both of these guys and Geraldo Rivera all got gigs in the media. It was as if they were being plugged out of this local activist thing, and hey, we're going to bribe you, the most charismatic guys out there. We're going to put you on BLS. We're going to put you on on the radio. We're going to put you on WABC TV. But no more of this talk about revolution, young men. No more of that. Now, how did Geraldo Rivera come to the attention? Such a big shot national attention when he's on local WABC TV. Somehow he gets a hold of a stolen key to Willowbrook Psychiatric Center on Staten Island. Now, what was going on in there? He was able to cut in there with the key. I got the key, stolen key to get in. But he was also able to just walk right in with a film crew. And it was all dark in there. And it was, if you ever watch this documentary, it'll give you nightmares for years. Because all these poor little mentally challenged children, mostly, naked, in diapers and feces, rocking back and forth because they're getting no attention. It's dark in there. They're screaming. They're crying. Who knows, God else, what was going on in there, right? And, you could just imagine the people who would work there and allow that to go on and walk into work every day and not say a word to anybody, what other things they would be capable of doing at Willowbrook Psychiatric Institute, where, you remember, there's all those tunnels underneath where the homeless would be living there. And Andre Rand, who had those connections to the Process Church, he was down there and kidnapping little kids on Staten Island and taking them down. There was talk of satanic cults underneath there. But somehow all this is going on in here, and somehow Geralso Rivera gets the key to go in there and film this. Okay? Now, well, Ed, that's a good thing. He exposed it. This is great, man. And they shut it down. They made great changes, and they cleaned it up, and, and then finally they closed it down, and now we treat these children, and, it's been affected different. Okay, was that his motive? I don't know. But what kind of guy was Geralso Rivera? Well, we know from his own book that at the time he was in college. Let me give you one of the examples of Geralso Rivera when he was in college. Early in the book, he recounts sexual experience with a strange, sad nymphomaniac his college roommate had brought home after she had spent the previous week servicing an entire frat house. His roommates decided to take turns having sex with her. She obliged. Now, he talks about how him and all his buddies had repeated sex with this poor lost woman, right? And now looking back, well, he would have rescued her, and she would have reminded him of her daughter, all this kind of stuff like that. He says it was demeaning, degrading, and dishonorable, and I was in the middle of it. And any of a conscience would have tried to talk some sense into this girl, but not me, not that. And then he writes, and quote unquote, a stiff dick has no conscience. Now, that's a pretty extreme, bold move to make, statement to make, because I have one of those appendages attached to my body, and there's plenty of times I have a conscience, and I back away, and I make the wise decision. I'm not out of control. But Geralso Rivera is confessing to us here that he's out of control, and he's willing to do things that are quite extreme. Okay? And somehow he had a key to that Willowbrook, where some extreme things were being done to those kids. But I started this off saying, how did Geralso Rivera get from the Young Lords to owning his own island, owning his own helicopter, owning his own newspaper, hanging out with Adnan Khashoggi, Michael Jackson, and Donald Trump? How did that happen? Well, I've always suspected. I've always had a suspicion. See, because in 1985, Roone Arledge was running 2020. He was running ABC. And ABC News refused to air a segment about the Kennedy brothers, Robert Kennedy and Jack Kennedy, having sex with Marilyn Monroe and having an ongoing sexual relationship with Marilyn Monroe. And they refused to air that segment. And at the time,